May 26th City Council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that the press and public were duly notified of the meeting in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. If you can, join me in standing for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for the day and thank you for the beauty of it. Thank you for the opportunity that we have to gather here and serve this great community. Just pray that you'll guide and direct our conversations and decisions made here tonight. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Nicole, you want to do roll call?
Absolutely. Councilmember Cohen.
Here.
Councilmember Myers. Here. Councilmember Streetman. Councilmember Rogosian.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Councilmember Pierce.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll. Here. Councilmember Miller. Here. Mayor Pounds.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. First item is citizens' comments.
Andrew Vega.
Andrew, if you'll just tap on the mic, be sure it's on. You're good. Thank you.
It is on. All right, good evening, everybody. Andrew Vega, 104 Sparrow Drive. As you know, I was on the Ad Hoc Beach Preservation Committee, and I saw on tonight's agenda the change of a healthy beach item from cubic yards per linear foot to 200 feet of beach frontage. And I'm trying to figure out why was this a change addressed, or why is it being brought up to council? We went through engineers, geologists, other specialists over the course of the 2 years that we were on the committee, and now I see an adjustment. And when I look at that and what we talked about, especially in regards to Breach Inlet and Beechwood East that have different erosional events on them, I go, how is this going to impact what we do for beach renourishment? What's that cost going to look like? How often are we going to do it? Because if we try to maintain 200 feet of width of beach, it's going to move faster, particularly in the Breach Inlet area, because we'd already determined that the flow out of the inlet and the wigwag pattern of the inlet, its dynamic nature, was not going to allow that depth of beach. So it seems like this isn't science-based. It doesn't seem like this was a thought process that was put through by anybody with an engineering background. So I really question that decision or possibility of a decision. And I will hope you take all those things into consideration when you look at making this policy like this. Thanks. Have a good night.
That's all.
No presentations tonight, which is a little bit unusual, but good. Next item is approval of previous meetings minutes. City Council meeting on April 28th, special City Council meeting on May 12th. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Any edits or changes? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, procurement, consideration of Civic Eye Records Management System for Police Department and Court. I know this went through Public Safety Committee, and it's coming out as a recommendation from that. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Douglas, anything to add here
No.
in the budget? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, consideration of proposal from Finding Great People to conduct search for new human resources officer. If we can have a motion and a second, we'll get to some discussion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Douglas, any timing or insight or?
No, just that we have been trying to do this recruitment from ourselves. We've been handling this. We've had a lot of starts and stops with it. We've had 2 or 3 people accept the post, then rescind that acceptance. So we've gotten it to a point, and we very grateful to Janice for having stayed well past her planned retirement date, but we really are at a point now where we're at a little bit of a we're low-grade emergency and need this position filled quickly. So we've reached out to Find Great People who we've used in the past and have asked for their help in this. Their fee would be 20% of the first year salary.
Scott?
No, I just got a quick question. Is it 2 or is it 3 that have been extended offers? And
It's at least 2. It's not, not the third. Okay, 2.
Bev, do you have a question?
Yeah, so what's our status now? So Janice retired, but you're here. So,
Janice
what-
has physically moved, so she's kind of working between Conway and here. She's here a few days a week. She's working remotely the rest of the time. So she's here for a bit. I think she does have a firm date of June 23rd. So she's told me, be very nice to you until June 23rd, and I really need to quit at that point.
okay, and do we have money in the budget? I mean, it's accounted for in the budget, is all I'm saying.
This role was not budgeted for, so this will be.
You mean the
in
fee?
next
The fee,
year's-
just the fee, just
The fee, yes, the fee was not budgeted for, so it's actually being included
Included
in
next
next year's fiscal year. We'll pay it next year, so it's actually one of the changes between the last budget you looked at for next year and the one that's in your packet tonight.
Okay.
Is this something, Douglas, we could look at we've been talking about getting in the habit of kind of looking at job descriptions, making sure they're up to date. Can we just maybe put that on the agenda for the admin, just to look at the job description?
Look at this
Yeah.
particular job description? Sure.
And maybe there's some things we can do to update or sweeten it, or whatever we need to do to ensure that it's current if it hasn't been updated in 2 or 3 cycles.
Yes, we can do that.
Do we know a reason why the other 2 offers were ultimately declined?
Well, and I can't.
They were accepted, actually, weren't they?
Yeah,
Well,
well,
but then, yeah.
was it, I was thinking that it was 3 people, but 1 person twice. Okay, so it was actually 3 different acceptances, but 1 person was twice. I know that the last time it was health. The first time, I think it could have been money, but they just kind of indicated that after considering all options, they were rescinding. So it's always a soft letdown, I guess. They don't kind of come too hard with a negotiating position. And we do think this last time it was just a health condition that came up.
Were they local? Like,
One was very local. The second one was had just relocated to the Goose Creek area, so somewhat local.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, old business, update and review of Charleston County TST projects. Douglas?
Yeah, and I'll give a quick update of this, and this is really coming to you all through the Public Facilities Committee. And the point was made there that, these TST requests go through the city to Charleston County. They then sit with a selection board in Charleston County for a year until they get acted upon, and then sometimes they sit in planning and development, sometimes 2 years. So it could really be 3 years between the city making a request and things actually starting to happen. So currently, we have 2 different projects that are nearing starting. The first is a connecting sidewalk in front of the dinghy. And if you look at page 47 in the packet, yep, that one. This is a conceptual layout. It's actually, we do have engineering plans here for this. But there's an existing sidewalk that goes in front of the public safety building. It then stops abruptly and then picks back up on Ocean Boulevard. We see a lot of people, we see a lot of pedestrians in J.C. Long Boulevard trying to make these 2 connections. So this is a connecting sidewalk that would put those 2 together. The county has been meeting with the staff, and we've met on site with the dinghy about their concerns. They are concerned with losing parking in that area. They also have not been crazy about the idea of pedestrians being right at their front door. They have indicated that there are people smoking on the porch. They felt like it wasn't ideal, but there really isn't a viable alternative. We talked with the county about the feasibility of it crossing the street. They determined that it wouldn't be a good solution to cross over mid-block. So I think we've gotten it, and I won't say that the dinghy appears to like it, but I think they understand the need for the project, the importance of the project. And I will say that the designers have done all that they can to not only preserve parking, but to actually try to create some new parking to offset the loss. So that's that project. That one,
Can I ask a question about it?
Go ahead.
What is the new parking?
so it's still perpendicular, right in front of the dinghy. There are additional spaces between the existing parallel handicap space and the front door. So there's the plan to add some additional spaces between the dinghy and the public safety building.
So my observation there is that the majority of that traffic that's heading towards Ocean Boulevard is coming from the Seabiscuit and from Acme, Low Country Kitchen. So those people are going to have to cross J.C. Long anyway to get down to Ocean Boulevard.
Yes, if you came.
The
down
other,
that
if it
side.
was on the other side, in front of those, the houses that are there, which is the public right-of-way, then they wouldn't have to cross the street. But with this plan, you're still gonna have people in the street. So if the idea was to get people out of the street, they're gonna be crossing, and a lot of them have, I see a lot of little kids and stuff, right there in front of the fire station, in front of the Seabiscuit.
Well, this would, I mean, right now, and just so happens, if you pull up the county's GIS, you'll see 5 or 6 people in the road between Ocean Boulevard and the dinghy. I mean, they are going longitudinally down the road. They're not just crossing, they are walking down the middle of the road to go down that stretch of J.C. Long. So those would be the people. Granted, a lot of them will still have to cross the road, but once they get to a sidewalk, they can stay on a sidewalk as they go down to Ocean Boulevard.
Yeah, but
The
my
issue
point
with
is,
the-
yeah, I'm
Isn't
sorry, go
there a
ahead.
crosswalk there? Is there not a crosswalk there?
There is not a crosswalk, but the county engineers tell us that that the DOT will not authorize a mid-block crossing, that they won't allow a sidewalk to go half on one side of the road, cross the road, and then go the other half. In theory, it would be possible to do an entirely new sidewalk all the way from Palm Boulevard down to Ocean Boulevard, but you still would have some people needing to cross, anybody that would be on this side would cross. So,
Right, then you lose parking in front of Acme and lose parking in front of Seabiscuit.
yeah, it's kind of a different issue, and I don't know that it solves. So I think this is the chosen path by the engineers, and it's the project that we suggested to them, and they've endorsed it, and they're willing to complete the project.
Douglas, I mean, it seems like, just looking at the notes on the project, I mean, it seems like the county narrowed it in some places, moved it around in some places, attempted to add the parking. I mean, it seemed to have been, and I know they've met with the owner a number of times. I mean, it seems like they've been pretty accommodating, trying to make it work for everybody, to me.
Yeah, I don't know that they've met, we all met on site once. I know that they've been, I don't know what level of communication they've had outside of that meeting. So I wouldn't want to say how many times they've met, but I do think you're correct. They have definitely heard the issues and tried to do the best that they can. I do think that there has been a question since this plan was developed about, for some reason, the perpendicular spaces that are being added up towards the public safety building, that there is not enough depth to get all of those spaces perpendicular. So I think the county is considering either making that sidewalk, that existing sidewalk, thinner and get those perpendicular spaces, or leaving that sidewalk as is and doing just new parallel spaces, which is obviously a lot less per linear foot in that configuration. So they're still working with the DOT
David?
I kind of had that same question on the other end, going back into Ocean. You got cars basically backing out into a intersection, almost right on an intersection. Again, it's not ideal, but even making the sidewalk on that end 5 feet just to give you another 3 feet of room to back out would seem better than, since it's already going to narrow anyway.
Yes, I think the DOT has had that same comment, that, I don't know if it's in relation to being that close to the intersection or just the lack of depth behind those spaces.
Yeah, I
They would
mean-
want more spaces, want more area for, behind those spaces.
And that gets to be a congested intersection at times.
Ready for the next one, or any other comments? The next project that's also moving forward with the county is and this is the first phase of a multi-phase project to add a sidewalk on Palm Boulevard between the Boathouse Restaurant, but on the other side of the street. Page 48, Josh, if you don't mind. Yep. This is phase one. It would go from Carolina to Second. The plan would be that it would eventually have additional phases that would take it to connect all the way to the existing sidewalk to connect ultimately to 10th Avenue. The comment was made in the public facilities meeting that the general public isn't aware that this is a multi-phase project, and the people that are seeing this and getting this for the first time, it appears to them to be a one-block sidewalk to nowhere. So we have kind of taken that internally and felt the need to publicize that it's a broader project that would ultimately extend and connect all the way to the front beach. I don't know that we've done that yet. I think we wanted to have this meeting first, and then our plan would be to just broadcast that. We've been having conversations with the TST and their staff about this project, and just, they cannot tell us for certain if future phases will be funded. They can't guarantee us that, but they've indicated that they would, that it would be put into the queue just as the others were.
Well, go ahead, Katie.
So the reason that, this was really the reason that I wanted this put on the agenda, and it was mostly because of the many, many emails that we got about the people that live here that were unhappy with this plan, and trying to understand how we get to something like this, and if we're locked into it, if this is even something that we want to be doing. And I don't, if this is something that's been in the queue for a number of years, and maybe things, and the same thing with the sidewalk in front of the dinghy. I mean, I don't really know, I don't know who decided to do this, and if it's something that is still the will of council. I mean, I guess that's, if we're just going forward with something that somebody thought up years ago, and we don't even know if it's ever going to get finished. I don't know. It seems like we're doing it because they're willing to pay for it, but just because they're willing to pay for it doesn't mean that we necessarily want it. So I just kind of wanted to have a discussion and see where people are on this, and if there's a way of having these things more timely or keeping track of them, so that if it becomes something that we aren't interested in doing anymore, so that, I just kind of wanted this to be something that everyone discussed, and in light of the people that live there, because there's a lot of trees and landscaping and things like that are going to be, and I mean, it isn't an easement, but a lot of that stuff that's been there for a very long time that's going to be ruined by putting in a sidewalk that, someday may get finished and be useful.
Well, and Douglas, I think part of, I mean, council votes whatever to send in to TST, but part of attempting to get a sidewalk on that end, we have 0 crosswalks on that end of Palm. And DOT won't put a crosswalk in if there's not an anchoring sidewalk on one side or the other, if I remember right.
That is
So I
correct.
think that was, again, part of our longer-range plan of putting in that sidewalk, eventually some crosswalks, maybe at Exchange Club or Merritt or wherever, just to give people some, hopefully safer access across Palm. Beth?
Yeah, I'm looking at the long range, and that was going to be one of my questions, but you've really answered it, is that, there's no guarantee that this is going to be done from 2nd to 10th. And do we even have a say in this? I mean, do we, with the county? I mean,
Well,
You
so
have to
we-
say in our projects, we request,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the city requested these projects, so these are.
But that was
city
years ago, correct?
Yes.
I mean, that was many years ago.
No.
Maybe 3, 2?
Yeah, maybe.
And they open back up annually. So we each year could make a request. So, and I don't know, that deadline's probably coming up, but council would talk about the projects to request next and make a request to them for the next phases. The other part of this that we've talked about internally, and that is the fact that these things have happened a little bit willy-nilly. And it's always a project that I think we feel has a high possibility of being funded. So they're always kind of $200,000 projects, so maybe 2 blocks. So they've been historically kind of smaller projects. Down from the rec center, that was one. The sidewalk on 21st was one. So they're always smaller, fairly compact projects that we feel will get funded. In talking to the other communities, that they are not having a lot of success, and I think it is because they're requesting large, expensive projects, and there's not, they want to kind of spread the money around a bit. So I think we are having success with getting them funded, but you do run the risk of, you may run out of, it may not ultimately happen in future phases.
Well,
That was-
paid for by the county. I mean, the
Paid
city
for.
could always.
Yeah. And that was a big push with the walkability study that the COG is doing now and close to finishing up, that should give us a better, it'll be a little more organized, our request, kind of running down a list of projects that they're helping us create to make these connections so that we can do it a little more orderly.
Well, that'll certainly help. I mean, but has anybody contacted the residents that are being,
Yes,
who we're getting emails from, as Katie
that's the source of the
mentioned?
emails. That correspondence went out, and that is why.
From the
folks-
county.
Yes, that's why folks reached out.
But has there been any discussion, like with how the county's been talking with the dinghy, has there been any back and forth with the county on that?
No, not that I am aware of.
Scott?
Are there, we talked about from 2nd to 4th, 4th to 6th, so I don't know if we're doing it in 2-block chunks. Are those requests already in the queue, or have any of them been submitted? And if so,
No.
I don't think they are. Yeah, I could check, I could verify that, but I do not think they are.
I think it's September-ish or so when when
List
the
goes in.
requests are due in, if I remember right. Scott, are you?
well, I guess where I'm going is, if we don't, the sidewalk from Breach to 2nd, or wherever it is now, it's a good sidewalk, it's very usable. This next rung, if we do it without continuing to go forward, I mean, is this something where, even from less disruption and everything, should we wait until we get a couple of these approved? Or is this a use it, lose it, costs go up? I have no idea what the cadence is on this, but, is there a way that we can sit down with the county and, talk to our county rep that we have and see if we can get some assurances that these are all going to, that they can go through, or that they're,
So that is the conversation we had, and the indication back to us is that they cannot give us any assurance. It would be a little bit, like a city administrator saying, I know that council will vote for this next year. You can kind of give a hunch of, historical practice, but you cannot, as the one dealing with the administration, but you can't give an assurance that it will be funded next year.
and I guess, if we're saying this one was put in 2-3 years ago and now it's popping out, and we haven't even got the next rung in the chute yet, is this going to be 3-4 more years before we can?
The next phase.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the TST funds are use it or
Annual.
lose.
Yeah, they are, use it or lose it. Okay.
Jimmy?
The next phase, I think, was part of the impetus to get down to the Exchange Club and Merit. I mean, I do feel like we felt like that was an important next part of the project, and that'll add value, obviously, once it gets down to that.
Do you, or are you having time pressure deadlines from the county on these two?
Well, I mean, if we were to, yes, I think they are, it's
Ready
in
to
their,
go.
it's in their kind of process, and if we wanted to reverse course with them, we'd need to tell them, I think, pretty quickly. They're bubbling up to being shovels in the ground, I would say, in the next 60, 90 days.
Because I have to check the minutes for the last 2, 3, 4 years, or even 5 years. And I just don't recall council voting on this sidewalk in front of the dinghy. I talked with you about it several times, and we've discussed it and said it was, do you recollect there has been a formal vote on this, or is just, it took me a long time to nail it down where it was coming from. It was coming from us, no, it's really coming from the county. But the county says, but no, we need direction from you. And I'm just asking, do you remember council deciding on this one issue? And if we haven't decided on it, is there a possibility we could bring this up at a later date, like next month?
Certainly do some research. I do think council voted to endorse the list. In terms of what the amount of kind of dialogue and deliberation I think it's probably a hit list of a few projects and not a lot of attention given to it, but I could certainly dig that up.
I'll work on it too. Because I've been against this project from the very beginning when I first heard about it.
And I think I feel the same way about both of them. I just don't feel like there's enough drive or interest. I mean, I feel like this is like my mom going and buying something on sale because it's on sale.
Well, I mean,
No offense
we
to
had a
Mom,
petition
but
from the residents at Merritt wanting the sidewalk and a crosswalk. So, I mean, there was 30-plus people that signed that petition 3 or 4 years ago. So, I mean, I think there's another side to this story, too, based on folks that live at the Merritt Fourth area. But
And it might be that we requested funds for the entire stretch and we only got awarded the first stretch. I can research the requests.
And I vaguely remember since I've been on council that the dinghy one has been, I think that's been presented
Yeah.
at least once or twice over the last several years, even when Desiree was here.
in a prioritization,
Yeah.
Scott, for sure.
Yeah.
John?
You would have heard from me if it was.
We may have.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
we
think we
did.
did, yeah.
John?
I guess
I
you
don't
have,
remember.
to me, it's just, you gotta decide whether there's value of some sort in putting the sidewalk along Palm Boulevard, well, both places, but especially Palm Boulevard. And if you do, then how we get there is a different story, but I think the current methodology, if it's of value, is we got funding to do part of it, and we're gonna keep working at it till we get it down to 10th. But if there's no value in putting a sidewalk, then we shouldn't do it. But, I mean, for safety or for whatever reason, walkability, bikeability, whatever the reason is, I think the fundamental gate to pass through first is whether it's of value. And then it seems, then how do we get there? It may be 5 years or maybe 6 years before we finish the whole thing, but we're going to continue to work towards that. I don't know if we've had that discussion or not in council or not, but that's, that's, I think, the fundamental, for me, that's the first thing to decide. And the same thing with the dinghy. I mean, we're not doing it just to do it. I mean, it has to provide some utility in order to do it. And I assume
it's safety is part of the reason we don't want people walking down the middle of the street.
Yeah, and I guess I would add to that, the county grading that's what they're doing. I mean, when we make these requests, they are analyzing it and grading it for the benefit of the, from their engineering standpoint, what is the value of this project? And according to them, to get funding, to be chosen for funding, they score it highly. They see it as a viable, good project. So, obviously their scoring could be different than city councils, but they at least see the value in the connections made by the project.
And I think if you look at the criteria John just mentioned, you look at Palm Boulevard going down to 41st, I mean, that sidewalk has a lot of utility and creates a lot of safety. And I think that with traffic increasing on Palm Boulevard, it just continues to increase, and the speed at which the cars are coming down Palm Boulevard now without a sidewalk, it is, I run that walk, it's a dangerous little, obstacle course. But the question is, can we get a sidewalk all the way down? Yeah.
Was there a motion made, Nicole?
It's just
There's
update.
not a need for one. This is just an
It's just
update.
Yeah.
Update and review.
Yeah, there's not a consideration. Be happy to report back. Sounds like prior discussions at council would be a key thing to know. Anything else?
Well, if the county's approving
what
these
else is
based
in the
on.
queue?
yeah,
Is
if
there
they're-
also, is there another, like, completely different option of, because like the sidewalk on the north, 21st up on Palm is way off of Palm. It's, the sidewalk is not any, but having a sidewalk that's like right smack up against Palm Boulevard down on the south end, to me, just does not make sense. First of all, I hardly ever see anyone walking down there. Maybe it's because there is no sidewalk, but, I notice it when I do. And so would it make more sense to have people have a sidewalk on Carolina? Or, and then a crosswalk at the Exchange Club? I don't know. It feels to me like this just doesn't, I don't know. And that's the other thing that I don't fully understand about these projects is like, when we ask for a project like this, do we give them a one-sentence request and then they determine how it happens, do we say something like, we want to prevent people from walking on J.C. Long Boulevard, and then they come up with the solution? Or do we have the opportunity of saying, we'd like to put this specific sidewalk in this specific location?
It is a specific request. It's very much like a grant request of, we're requesting funds and we explain where and what. And they obviously develop the engineering, so it's a narrative and it's a handful of photos of these are the kind of problem areas. But it's a pretty specific request from us.
Scott, you had a comment? Were you?
No, I'm okay. I did.
I got a motion.
I had a question.
We don't need a motion.
Well, there's a lot of questions.
That's why we're here to answer them.
Kind of went on, but on this one in particular, they're removing a lot of vegetation, and I don't know if we can ask them for a conceptual landscaping plan of what's going to be put back, if anything's going to be put back, as part of this package. It's just showing, can the palm trees be relocated instead of removed? And can they do other landscaping? And I think that was one of the concerns from a lot of the comments we got, is we're taking out a lot of vegetation to put a sidewalk in.
It's probably going to be a city expensive.
Yeah.
Going there.
And I will just say that the DOT generally frowns upon planting in the right-of-way, especially trees. The palm trees, the plant of palm trees got an encroachment permit. They were blessed. I don't think, it's a lot of things, shrubbery, which they generally don't want. I don't think they probably wouldn't permit it. Fencing, mailboxes would get moved. A gate, I don't think the DOT just generally doesn't want that stuff in the right of way. So I doubt they would, generally, they will permit ground cover, something that a car can drive on or a pedestrian. It's not gonna hurt somebody. But they typically do not, they just don't want encroachments into the right-of-way. They're problematic from DOT standpoint.
Jimmy?
I still have a motion.
Not sure you can, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's
What?
not,
There's nothing for consideration.
yeah, there's no consideration, but I think I'm understanding that you all would like to just hear back, and we could put it for consideration at your next month. Details on the request, what's in the queue, what did council authorize when, and a general discussion about, is the project valuable? And you could have that discussion at your next meeting.
That's fine, but I would still like to have the right to bring this back up for full consideration by the council, the entire thing.
That's what he just said.
Well,
So I'll put all that, give that all to you, and I'll put it on for consideration at your next meeting.
Would it be helpful to maybe have somebody here from the county or to talk about the
They're
project?
going to say this is your project. You're willing to write the check.
Okay. Well, they could talk to the safety aspects of it or whatever. I don't,
Yeah,
you know,
in
I
their
don't-
scoring system,
Yeah.
Scott, I think I thought we
And
read it.
I'd like to ask them what's our options, give us a probability for the future projects.
Yeah, and maybe the timeline for, I have September in my head, that's kind of the next request for us to go into the county, but maybe Douglas, we can verify their timing.
So, and this is from the old TST, right, that was passed. So, because we just got a request, to pass another one, right?
That's correct.
So, and this was not included in that I recall.
That's correct. They were asking for large regional scale projects, not sidewalk connections. So that list was supposed to be our big request.
And that was for marketing purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was to kind
I
of
remember
sell
sidewalks were on there, though, that's why I asked. Okay.
Jimmy, is that good for next meeting?
yeah.
How much is a stretch of this going to cost, you think, for a couple blocks? 200, you said?
Yeah, I think between 200,000 and 300,000, I think.
Because I think 21st, Scott, to your question, was around that number, and that's much longer.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've certainly seen cost of everything go skyrocket, so.
I just want to have one more go at it.
Next meeting.
All right.
New business, A is consideration of intergovernmental agreement with Charleston County Consolidated Dispatch. I think this is something, Douglas, we do every year, if I remember right,
I don't know that it's every year. I don't think it's every year.
some time period.
Yeah. Yeah,
And this is
we've
coming
done
out
it
of the
before.
public safety. John.
Yes, we,
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
second.
Second.
Questions, Douglas, anything, Jimmy?
I have a suggestion on this, that years ago, the whole council met up in the command center, way up in North Charleston, up at Nexon, I guess it is. Very interesting afternoon. We spent a whole day up there. I think, Douglas, you were on that trip. And I would like to see us, especially with hurricane season coming up, if at all possible, plan a trip for all of council members to attend if they'd like to, and see how that center works. It's extremely fascinating.
Good idea.
We can reach out to them. Some of our staff just did that again here recently, so we know they're willing to do that, so be happy to make that arrangement.
Okay, thank you.
Douglas,
No question.
Yeah, Beth.
So does our participation, so I'm looking at the fund, I was looking at the cost, and is that through 911 charge, like the 911 charge on our phone bill? Is that what this is? How is this funded? Our county, like, the county doesn't give anything for free, so.
That is correct. Yeah, we pay them handsomely, and do you all have that detail?
I'm just curious. Okay,
Yeah, we do pay.
okay, yeah.
It's not a free service for us. Yeah, and then Chief Cornett has had issue with, there is a little bit of, freedom in their changing rates kind of midstream, and
Oh.
we pay them.
Oh, well, there's
The
that.
radio system is expensive. It's not an inexpensive
Okay.
venture.
I think it's had something to do with, like, if they had grants, like if they received grants, then they didn't charge.
Nicole.
I vaguely remember, and correct me, Deputy Chief, if this is incorrect, but I feel like Chief Cornett also said that if, like, they got grants, then they didn't charge everybody else as much. But that when the prices were higher,
So they can just make it up as they go.
A little
really.
bit.
does that sound normal?
And do we know what the allocation method is? Is it based on population? Is it based on?
I do not know.
We don't know.
Okay.
No, this is, no.
And we're one of the, what were there, 6 communities listed in there?
Yeah, a little few
I
more
know this-
than,
Five. It's a lot more expensive to have your own 911.
oh, no, I wouldn't,
Yeah,
no,
no,
I'm not
I'm
suggesting that.
that
I'm
either,
just,
yeah. It's just-
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we have a lot of,
I think we're 1 in 9 votes on the board, but we're, I'm wondering what our allocations are.
Okay.
Maybe we can just follow up on that. Yeah.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item, mutual aid agreement with Jamestown Police Department. Chief Cornett has asked that we do not take any action on this tonight due to some changes in their staffing. So John, that's a change from Public Safety Committee. Next, consideration of entering into a mutual aid agreement with the College of Charleston Department of Public Safety. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Douglas, anything to add here? It's kind of standard.
yeah.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Next item, consideration of partnering with Charleston County EMS to house an ambulance and staff at Fire Station 1.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And John, I know this is coming out of public safety as well. Anything Chief O or Douglas, John, to add? Seems like a great benefit for the community. Beth?
I have questions. So, sorry. So is there a contract or anything with Charleston County? You can tell how I'm looking at Charleston
there's
County.
not.
So it's just a promise that they will be here? And
It's
Parker?
us giving them permission to be here. It's
Okay.
council
So do we
allowing-
know when they're coming?
I think Chief can probably tell you, well,
In here it
Is
says-
it
in here it says-
seasonal? Is it 24/7? Is it, you know, is
no,
like,
it's seasonal.
it's seasonal?
You want to speak to the mic? Yeah. It's seasonal, and I don't know that there would be any guarantee of when they will and won't be here, but Chief can answer that.
So thank you, Ms. Miller. Good question. So Charleston County EMS is changing their deployment model. In seasons past, they would arrive here 3 to 4 days a week, Thursday through Saturday to Sunday typically, from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And due to their staffing model, their deployment model, they have a new EMS director. They're moving into a new direction on how they operate. So what that means for us is they're trying to get more station-based ambulances like we have our fire department. Right now, they have a model called dynamic staffing. But basically, they're changing their deployment model, which is going to create a need for space. And so what they would like to do is to keep their EMS, their ambulance here 365 days a year. But they have to hire the additional staff, they have to have the additional trucks. They will not have that available until August 21st by their operations chief. So they're working on it. And for us, we have to do a few little infrastructure improvements to make sure that we house them in a manner that does not affect our deployment model and our staff is comfortable. So it's a wonderful partnership opportunity. To your point, no, we do not have a formalized agreement with them. In my opinion, if we get them here and if a formalized agreement is the will of council, then we can research that. But we are just trying to make those improvements where they can do what they've done in the past, but it actually will enhance what they've done in the past because they'll be here throughout the season. Charleston County EMS made every effort to get here over Memorial Day weekend, and they were here one day. They were able to staff, so we're very thankful for that. And they responded to two calls very quickly because they were here. So the more we can have them here, the better off we'll be. So that's kind of the gist of it. They're changing their deployment model. They're looking for space. We said, hey, we have space available. They're trying to add additional ambulances east of the Cooper and having them here is wonderful. Sullivan's Island and some other communities were like, hey, we would love to have you here, but, Charleston County EMS, they have their specific geographic zones that they're looking at. They're looking at past call volume, response times, and they identified us as a great candidate. We have a wonderful working relationship with them, and we want to make it easy for them to be here as much as possible.
I totally agree. When I look at the dashboard that was in the packet, 54% of the calls are medical,
Yes, ma'am.
some kind of medical. So I guess my question was more centered of, when we talk about the paramedics and the paramedic program and your staffing. So do you staff regardless of what they're doing? They're like the icing on the cake?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. Because when let's say, for instance, if they transport a patient to MUSC downtown, to the cath lab or to Roper Hospital or East Cooper, wherever they go, they're out of service for a while. They have to drop off that patient, decon that ambulance, prep it, and then get back. And on the way back, if there is, let's say, a vehicle accident on Highway 17 or somewhere, they're the closest unit, they'll get diverted. So just because they're housed here, there's no guarantee that they will be here because they are Charleston County EMS, and so they have the whole county. Like today, for example, we had an ambulance come to us from West Ashley, one north of Daniel Island in North Charleston. And it's just, it's a Tuesday, it's not a holiday weekend.
Right.
So,
I just worried, a weekend season and
Sure.
the ambulance being here is awesome. I mean, it's,
right. But for our paramedics, we have our deployment model for that resiliency piece where we
Right.
can do everything they can do until they arrive with that transport
Okay.
piece. Yeah,
So
so
they'll
hopefully
staff-
that's helpful.
yeah,
Does
they'll
that
go ahead.
yeah.
answer your question?
Yeah.
Yes.
They'll staff somebody here 24/7, 365 is what you're saying?
Yes, that's what they're wanting to do. But
Okay.
they always won't be here because they have to
They've
go
got-
drop
they've
off
got
the
other
patient.
jurisdictions,
But this
right.
would be their home base.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
perfect. Well,
John, anything to add from public safety view?
No, I'd just like to keep this on the agenda for public safety, get updates on it, because
Yes.
I think it's a pretty important opportunity for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, great partnership and great opportunity.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next, consideration of updates to the fire department incentive plan. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Scott or John?
I can just say that there was a couple, when we approved the incentive plans, there was an action to go back and clean up some of the couple items on the fire departments, and Chief has done that. There were a couple minor changes where we put the max in that was missing, and it now is a $75,000 plan, of which we approved.
To match the police.
Yes, matches police.
Okay. Questions? Douglas, anything to add from your view? Other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thanks, John. Next, consideration of recommendation of ATAC sponsorships. This is coming from our ATAC committee. We'll take each one of these separately. First is Lutheran Retreat Center for $12,000. There a
Motion to approve.
Second. Questions? Comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, YWCA Martin Luther King Jr. event for $3,000. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
I have a question on this one just for me. I know I missed Ways and Means, but I saw the minutes and have had a couple of conversations with some of you. I know they requested 10, and I know this one has had, I know ATAX committee, I think, has had conversations with these folks around, we need to see more heads in beds. And I think this is third year? This will be third year, I think, third or fourth year of this event. And I think, I think the intent was to try and prop them up and try and help them out a little bit to get over the hump. Certainly not wanting to spend $10,000 for 2 hotel rooms on our island, but I think, trying to get them some legs under them, if you will, over the years. Now, I would love to see us take the ATAC recommendation at $10,000, but I'm just one vote.
Well, and Mayor, I put that motion on the table at Ways and Means because, I go back to the purpose. And if it is marketing and to put more heads in beds, their budget showed that that was a $3,000 item. So it was, I just had a hard time with funding the other 7,000 as a grant when I didn't think it met the purpose of the ATAX grant. And it was a nod to, let's see how you do this year. It wasn't a complete denial. So.
Yeah, and I think
that
that's
was
what
the
the
thought.
ATAX committee has certainly had that conversation with the Y. So,
All right.
other comments, thoughts? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Nicole, you good?
Yes, sir.
Next item is Island School Literacy Events for $40,000. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And David, we left this one on here. I think you wanted it on here just from a, here's what went to the ATAX committee, but not everything was funded.
Right, so the ATAX committee, there was a proposal from the Chamber of Commerce to do some marketing. The ATAX committee felt like that did not really fit into the grant program. They didn't really come back to say they didn't agree with the idea, they just didn't feel it fit into the grant program. So I wanted to bring it back for discussion at the council level, is if it was something that we would want to look at to fund out of the 30% marketing campaign funds. And that's kind of where I asked for it to be considered here, and I've talked to a couple of people, and again, whether we would want to have them come at a later meeting and give us a proposal. Part of the discussion that came up during that is they had also, the heads and beds, they had to retarget what they were originally proposing to try to fit into the grant program. But originally, this was more of a kind of a local marketing and I've kind of felt like more directed at the off-season of how do we get people into our local businesses during the off-season, and this would be a good project for them. We've given them money in the past to do marketing, so they've demonstrated they can do, and again, anybody with pretty much a cell phone and internet can do marketing nowadays, so I don't know that really holds them up. But that's where I was kind of felt like I didn't want to see it just die because it didn't, quote, fit into the grant program, but to bring it back up to council and see if there was any willingness at council to fund this or pursue this in a different manner.
Wasn't the direction from the ATAX committee for Chamber to work with Explore Charleston?
That was brought up. Again, I kind of felt, my opinion on it was that, the Chamber does have a much more local knowledge, so why go through a second party if we can go directly and just see what they do? And we're looking at, I think they originally requested 55,000. I wouldn't see that changing because that was really video production and getting those out onto social media. That was the basics of their proposal. So I wouldn't see the amount changing. It's just maybe the market that they originally proposed would change. And again, I just felt like bring it up for discussion and see if there was a consensus that this is something council wants to pursue or not.
Yeah. I would be inclined to follow the ATAX committee recommendation personally, but
Well, part of the ATAX committee is they felt like their sole purpose is to put it into a grant program. That's another discussion to have, but they weren't considering it from any other perspective, and I would agree that it doesn't fit within the grant, but I could see this fitting into the marketing funds.
I'm inclined to follow what the mayor said and just follow the ATAX. And, this I didn't see anything in the packet first of all, on the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm not inclined to bring it forward to us.
Mayor, make just a comment.
Sorry, that was yes.
To your point, the chamber did have conversations with the CVB about, and part of the concern was that if this grant were awarded, there would be a certain amount of competition for kind of, you'd be paying higher prices per view. That's apparently how the social media folks would charge based on the kind of competition for the same eyes. They didn't want for basically there to be another Isle of Palms entity competing with what they're already doing and having the side effect of driving up the cost for the Isle of Palms. So I know that they've had conversations, and I know that the CVB is willing to help them with aspects of their project that don't create competition that ultimately drives the price up for the Isle of Palms dollars.
You're saying they're driving up CPM, cost per impressions, by going after the same?
Yes,
on-
that if
in
the
this-
two-
In this small of a,
Well, if the two were ultimately competing against each other, that it would have the effect of driving up the cost. So those two are working together. They have some level of agreement of the CVB paying for a portion of what the chamber wants to do. And I think they've worked out a solution. I don't know if it's completely satisfactory to the chamber's liking, but I do know that the CVB was interested in helping the process.
Next item is G, consideration of Beach Preservation Committee's recommendation for minimum healthy beach conditions. David, you're our liaison. I'll let you tee this one up.
Okay. At the last beach meeting, we met with Fourth and Olson on, is that right? Did I say it right? Fourth and Olson. And one of their concerns was that they felt like they really needed this definition of a healthy beach. The beach committee has kind of moved forward with what their recommendation was. They presented it at our last meeting. I kind of felt like my take of it was that council did not take that up. So that kind of left kind of us, where are we as far as what is defined as a healthy beach? Even looking back at what was recommended from the last beach committee, I'm not sure that that was ever really endorsed by council, but I kind of felt like council needs to address what is our goals with beach renourishment and maintaining our beaches. And without that the Fourth and Olson report, it really has no basis to make recommendations. I guess they could make their own recommendation of what they think a healthy beach is, but I kind of felt like that should be something the council needs to determine of what are we trying to achieve with our beach management.
Yes, and I guess I would add that the recommendation from the Beach Preservation Committee had two kind of divergence, I guess, maybe more, but one was the issue has been brought up that the old methodology used a volume-based calculation for what a healthy beach is. And I don't know the number off the top of my head, 320 cubic yards per linear feet or something to that amount. And the comment was made is nobody really knows where that is. You can't walk out to the beach and just know that when you've hit it, or when you have to wait on monitoring reports to know when you've hit that trigger. So they wanted to have a more readily visible trigger. So that was kind of a big change in what they've done. So they've gone to a distance of 200 feet from a line. And the rationale for that was to have that measurable distance. The other change, I guess, in policy is the city has historically used a structure line as kind of the place to measure how much do you have in front of those structures deemed to be healthy or not healthy. The Beach Preservation Committee has said in their recommendation that it should be either the structure line or the BCM line, which is the old OCRM line. And they have chosen to make a situation where you now have two different criteria to be considered, and it's 200 feet from either one of those. So those are really the two big changes. It's going to a measurable, it's going to kind of a bare eye measurement, and it's going from a structural line to a structural line and/or the OCRM line. I think there is a way, and I've had conversations with Foth Olson and CSE about, can the old recommendation that had a volumetric measurement be just translated, or could we come up with a straight distance and have the same amount of sand come up in a distance instead of a volume? And they've indicated that there is. It's not quite as scientifically, it's not exact. There is a method that they have to translate the two, but it's close. So it could be that there's a way in between that you could, go between the old recommendation and the Beach Preservation Committee's goal, at least one of their goals, to have a more visible trigger. And to David's point, this is really a starting point for Foth Olson. They would like to know, when we're building these retention methods, what is it that you want it to get no worse than? And that's really the minimum healthy beach. At the end of the day, this is the line in the sand where if it gets farther back than this, we don't deem it to be a healthy beach. So they've said this is an important consideration for us, and this will kind of be the baseline for all of our work. So it is a timely discussion.
Douglas, I got a question. If they're just coming forward, we gave that project to them 3 or 4 months ago
Yeah.
with a pretty tight timeline request on them's urgency, saying we want to get these things in. Is he just now coming forward and saying, oh, by the way, 4 months later, that I need this information in order to get you your project completed?
Yeah, and I don't know that it's been I think I've had it that they were on a 90-day time limit. I think at the meeting, they were roughly 60 days into that, so.
Because in my opinion, we're way behind schedule on that. I would have expected to get the results by now and us making decisions on how we move forward with some of these retention methods so we can match the renourishment cycle instead of being so far behind it. That's a different,
Yeah,
I'd
I would
like to-
agree. They're
I just
behind.
want to make sure that we all are operating around the same sense of urgency with that, because I think it's important that he gets that completed and we move forward. As far as this goes, I mean, I think it probably would helpful to go from cubic yards per feet, because I have trouble distinguishing what that really means when I go out and look at the beach, to something that's, anybody in the city can go, yeah, that's a healthy beach and that's where we are, or we aren't. I don't have an issue with the methodology around what's presented, but I don't know that 200 feet, it seems like that's a magical number maybe that that Hilton Head uses and somebody else uses, and I don't know that that's the right number for us. So maybe it's important that we do translate the old one to feet and see where that is, and maybe even have, if council's going to make this decision, that we have some of the consultants here, Foth Olson here, to answer the questions that we may have around what that means before it's a pretty impactful decision that we make with this. And if we're going to make it, I'm not ready to make it tonight till I get a few answers answered in terms of the 200 feet. It seems like that's arbitrary to me at this point. Because I think our beach may be a lot different than Hilton Head's and maybe different than somebody else's. It's got to be unique to ours, and we got to get a little more information to make a decision like that.
Beth?
Yeah, I listened to again, second time, to the beach committee and listened to it today. And I believe Chris Creed is coming back to the beach committee at the early June meeting, if I recall. And I'm with John on this, that I think it would be good to have a conversation with them. There were some unanswered questions that they were going to come back with, I believe, to the June meeting. So I kind of feel like it's premature up here. I'm not so sure that I would be prepared to do anything with this tonight.
Katie?
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of add on to that, I mean, 200 feet, there's a lot to do with the steepness of the sand and the, you know, you can go to a beach down in South Florida where it's, you know, this much of an angle and you don't need, so you therefore obviously don't need as much depth. So I think, and when the sand first gets put on the beach after the beach renourishment, it's gonna be a steeper slope also, and then, so I think there's, at least from my understanding, I would like to know more about what the 200 feet actually means. I mean, I know it is, and I do agree, though, that it would be handy to be able to measure it easier. But yeah, I would definitely like to know more, because, yeah, I mean, this, once we make this decision, this is kind of like what's going to set off triggers and down the road. So, yeah, I feel like we need more information.
I mean, I feel like we've made this decision. I mean, if the ad hoc committee, I mean, we spent months on this topic with a whole lot of engineers sitting around the table, and if we need to convert it to something that's a little more visually accessible, maybe that's the path. But I mean, we spent a lot of
We
time,
did.
Katie, as you well know, and Scott too, and I would agree with the resident that was here tonight. I mean, this was a lot of work to get to that point.
But it very well may be that the math comes out the same.
Similar.
You know, I
Could
mean,
be.
this could be
Yeah.
really just an easy way of doing it, which
Yeah.
that would be great,
David,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, following the volumetric, and there is a conversion, they've talked about it, it's fairly straightforward. But again, when we look at our beach, we're seeing the tip of an iceberg, and it's what's below that water line that nobody sees that's going to control how fast the beach starts eroding. So that's what they measure, and that's should be what they're looking at. I think it's short-sighted to say, let's just look at the top of what's exposed on the beach and decide if the rest of the beach is healthy. So I think there is a way that it can be presented, but I kind of agree with you. I think with all the effort that went into making that determination before, probably is the right path forward, that we need to stick with it, and just we need to represent that healthy beach definition in a different light, but I'm not even sure that was actually adopted.
Well, yeah.
Scott.
So that's the question.
I think we had an engineering solution versus a user-friendly solution. And I think I think if you're going to have your meeting on the 4th again, maybe the committee members can try to go through that translation with Steve and Chris and their team and see how this thing lines up. But I think the other difference is they're, measuring from the baseline or measuring from structures. And I think that, if we take 200 feet along all of that, where the line is going all over the place, this is also going to, when we take our erosion rates, it could impact dramatically how much sand we have to put on the beach for either a 7, 10, or whatever life we're going to need, which then is going to compound how far out does our structure need to be to retain that sand. So I think that's the conversation that I think we do need to have with the engineers, come up with some translated number or translated guideline. And I don't think that, our beach is not the same as Hilton Head. It's not the same as Dare County. What's going to fit for us. I think the consultants need to tell us that. And, I think it might be worthwhile having some interaction directly with them. I don't know if they go through their meeting on the 4th and then we put a time slot on the Ways and Means for 15 or 20 minutes and have them come and talk to us about the outcome. David, you can, we'll have the outcome, but I think we need to settle down on something here pretty quick.
Am I hearing a defer action on this?
So I guess I would, to the point that's already been made, I think this is kind of a starting block for Foth Olson's work. And it might be that it just takes longer than we had planned, but to John's point earlier, they should have been kind of wrapping up at this point. So not that we shouldn't delay to have them back and talk through this item, but I guess I would just want to say it's going to have the effect of delaying the deliverable even further, I would expect. I don't think that what they're doing kind of this month or in the next 6 months is necessarily time critical. I mean, I think we're going to be very busy with getting sand on the beach for the next 4 months or so. And then I think once that sand is on the beach, we then have, probably a year or two of kind of developing plans and permitting plans. So I don't know that 30 or 60 days late is a big deal, but it is, it was told to us that it would be a 90-day project, and I think we're about 90 days in, probably about now. And to delay a month would be delaying an additional month. But probably better to be slow and prudent than quick and wrong.
I agree with that.
Just in general.
Good, yeah, that's a good rules to live by.
And I think there are some differences between the two that we probably need to just talk over to make sure we've understand it.
That translation, yeah.
Is this close enough to being money related to try to put it on Ways and Means, or would you rather a special meeting, or rather try to have that discussion?
Not a special meeting.
No. I mean,
Try to
I
have
mean,
it.
if they're ready, maybe we can put it on.
Very much money, lots
Yeah.
of money room.
Yeah,
I would-
if it's ready, then we put it on the agenda, and if it's not, we kick it to the council meeting or something, yeah.
If it's ready for Ways and Means?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they get an update and we can get to something, get to some conclusion.
John, you're
You good,
okay with
Jimmy?
that?
yep.
You good? Ish. So Nicole, we're just deferring action on this item. You good? Next, boards and commissions report, council committee reports are in your packet. Board of Zoning Appeals minutes are attached. Planning Commission, no meeting in May. Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee minutes are attached. Environmental Advisory Committee minutes are attached. Beach Preservation Committee minutes are attached. Ordinances, resolutions, and petitions, second reading none. First reading by title only, ordinance 2026-04, an ordinance to raise revenue and adopt a budget for the city of Isle of Palm, South Carolina for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2027. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Nicole, you good? Resolutions and proclamations, none. In your packet is departmental reports and operating dashboard. Are there questions or comments for department heads or Douglas while they are here? Capital projects update is also in your packet if there are questions or clarity needed there.
Mayor, only.
Any,
Oh, go ahead.
so any idea when they're going to start paving the sidewalk? I've had a few questions. I know, I hate
On
to
Waterway?
ask. Yeah,
I think they're they're prepping, they're going to.
it looks like they're really close.
Yeah. Any idea when asphalt's planned in that first section?
We're just locating, they have located the smaller box that lays down that size of a path. And then they were just scheduling the asphalt, so I'll find those out.
And
We'll let you
also,
know.
are they going to like trim up the trees and vines that are like hanging down over the pathway?
I don't think that's.
That'll be on us, yeah.
That would be us. Some of them are like clothesline level.
Speaking from experience.
Exactly. And I'm not tall.
Doug, is there anything on projects you want to?
Yeah, the only two big ticket items is we have executed an agreement with Marinex that they are under contract and ready to go. And we received permits from BCM on Friday night, which was great news. We are still waiting for the federal permit. That should be kind of a domino to fall shortly thereafter, but things are progressing well with the beach nourishment project.
Just need sand.
Just need sand.
Thank you. Scott, did you have a question?
No, I was going to ask something on the legislative update when you get to that one.
Well, fire away.
Okay.
Good segue.
Just a question going forward. Is it possible to maybe just get a one-pager from the two lobbyist organizations, just, and even if it doesn't change much month to month, but just kind of an update on what's going on in the legislative? We've got a lot of grants in the queue. We've got a lot of things that are potentially impacting us legislative-wise. Nothing elaborate, just limit it to one page or less. But just something that we have an update on what's going on.
Yes, I will make that request. To that end, you do have we did get news from our federal lobbyist that an allocation for the feasibility study for for the city becoming an Army Corps beach project. We got word that Lindsey Graham's office has included that in the federal budget request. I think council needs to have a discussion, and we'll put that on the Ways and Means agenda for discussion, in that we would have to, that is a matching program. So the city would have to match their 750 with 750,000, which is not in our current draft of the budget. So more to come on that.
Yeah. Only other item is our next council meeting is June 23rd. If we have a runoff, we'll need to shift that date. So Nicole, can we just move it to the 24th if there's a runoff? And Nicole, could you just do a calendar invite as a hold, if you don't mind? Is that agreeable to folks?
I don't see any way around the runoff.
I know.
At this
So,
point.
Pretty sure we'll be on the 24th. There being no further business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Off record at 7:15. Thank you.
How you doing?